Welcome back, guys. We're going live right now with the LCQ group of 30 or 64. We've got GoblinGuide on Lion and Matrim on uh, Crane. So we've got a Lion versus Crane match coming up for you. It looks like we're just getting into the game. Players are setting their provinces. I've got Dan with me co-casting. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing A-okay, Luke. We are trying to bring you some Lion Crane commentary for this Lion Crane matchup. I hope you guys enjoyed, and it should be a pretty good one here.
Yeah, these decks are nothing particularly new, although the Lion one is a little bit interesting. They are on Crane Splash, which I would say is probably the third most popular splash after Dragon and Scorpion. Um, what do you think about that, Dan?
Yeah, I think actually I think Crane Splash is probably one of our better splashes. It gives us a lot of tools that Lion doesn't have naturally, like conflict characters. It gives us event cancel and hard removal, which is pretty easy to activate with Noble Sacrifice.
Yeah, I think that you can import cancel either through Scorpion or Crane. You actually do have a bunch of courtiers, but not necessarily characters you actually want to dishonor, so Forged Edict is a little bit clunky to use. You just sort of naturally get honored characters when you're playing Lion, so Voice of Honor can actually be pretty reasonable to activate.
Yeah, and a couple of interesting things about GoblinGuide's deck list here is that he's running a lot of courtiers. He's got Ikoma AG on 3x, which is a little unusual these days. And he's also running 2 Spies of Court.
Yeah, that is very interesting. You don't see a lot of Spies of Court after the Imperial cycle came out. A lot of controlling decks that sort of take things a little bit slower would run them at 1 or 2x in the core environment, but we've seen that sort of go out of fashion. Um, but yeah, AG at 3x, also a card that hasn't seen much play since core. With 3 Glory often being a liability, I don't think Crane is going to punish that choice very much. In fact, you might find yourself in a lot of positions where you're going to lose political conflicts versus Crane, and AG makes that a lot easier to swallow.
And over on the Crane side, Matrim is running the traditional Dragon Splash.
Yeah, that's right. Matrim is on the ever popular 3 Let Go 2 Miyamoto's Fury. Running the Let Go at 3x as opposed to the Fury is important because a lot of your characters like Guest of Honor in particular and Kakita, whoa, there's no Yoshi in this list, is there? Just
Got
Hotaru at 3x.
Hotaru, and he's got 3x Kaizen too.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a blast from the past on the Dynasty side. But I think it's still strong to run a deck this way. You can't always guarantee when that you're gonna get the favor. So just eschewing running Yoshi is okay as well. Um,
Yeah, he does have the 1x of Censure, just in case kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely. 1x Censure is a nice safety blanket if your voice of honor falls offline, but you do have the favor. What do you think about the game so far? I think things are starting to heat up, and I think both players seeing very strong flops. Cautious Scout, 2 Doji Challengers on Matrim's side. Uh, Gunso, Kabe Guard, 2 Generals, and a Gifted Tactician on the Lion side.
Yeah, I think right now it looks like Goblin Guy's trying to decide what he wants to buy. Decides to go a little wider here instead of going for the Honor General. I think Honor General is actually a pretty good card to consider buying in the Crane matchup, just because it gives you an Honor character right off the bat. So Voice of Honor is already off.
Yeah, especially I think with Crane Splash, that Honor General is a good round 1 buy. I often see Lion players doing what Goblin Guide is doing here, where they hold back some Fate on round 1, and then they have a bunch of Fate that they can put on their key pieces in turn 2.
Yeah, the only problem is that this board is a little bit weak to both the Water Ring and this Challenger here.
Yeah, you can't count on the charge now that the Crane players got their Way of the Crane off, so it's a pretty hard position to play out of actually.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty ideal start for Matrim here. He's got the Challenger and the Scout both on turn 1. So it looks like he's going to go with the Challenger first, though.
Yeah, attacking with your big guy after spending Wave the Crane is always risky. Feast or
Oh,
Famine here,
no.
obviously an awful hit. Shameful Display would be
Oh,
almost
no.
as bad.
No, well, yeah, I think this is probably actually the worst case scenario for Matrim here.
Oh, I don't.
You have to not to attack with the Scouts first.
Yeah, I said almost as bad. I think that Feast or Famine, this is certainly awful. There is no character with enough skill that you can pull it in to turn off the break.
Yeah, so we're gonna see no defense from GoblinGuide here. These two guys are both chumps, so one of them's gonna get pulled in, and the other one you actually can't even bow at the Water Ring because it's gonna get Fate before the Water Ring is able to be activated.
I guess the silver lining, which is more like a dust-covered lining, is that the Gunso will get dishonored if it loses.
Yeah, it's the little things that you have to. Yeah, definitely silver lining there. Soto saying this is why you poke with Scout first in chat.
I almost
Definitely.
never like big guy first attack as Crane. It puts all your cards like on that province flip, and with the fire roll, the lion provinces are probably some of the most annoying to attack into for a keeper. So yeah, that had a bunch of bad outcomes for Matrim.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you do have the card that actually sort of negates this the province, all these annoying provinces. But opts to go with the challenger instead, and now he's paying the price. So political rabble comes down for Goblin Guide.
Interesting question for you here. Would you play that rival during the conflict after the Gunso got pulled in to put the 2 fade on it for free?
Um, it's definitely worth considering.
Because now
The
look,
other
he's
thing,
run into Meditations on the Tau, and now that rival's gonna leave this turn after
yeah,
spending 4 fate.
well, the issue was that if he played the rival at home, then the gifted tactician would have gotten bowed by the water ring. So
Oh,
he opted to go ahead
that's
and wait
fair.
for it instead. So Stewie comes down for Matrim here. This political rival most likely going to get for shamed.
Do we see the ready for battle? Sort of, we do see it. As sort of a meme in the Season 3 Cup, GoblinGuide was the top lion, I think making it all the way to the finals before losing to Widwin. And I think he actually just completely forgot to add Ready for Battle into that deck and still made it that far. Seems like didn't have that problem with this deck, so
Yeah, no, that was very interesting. I remember we were talking about it in Lion Chat. We're like, man, this. I don't know if he's on to something here. Maybe this is some kind of secret strategy. Nope, he just forgot to put it in. But yeah, so the Ready for Battle did come down, but it got canceled by Voice of Honor, and Matron will win that conflict. Now the Scout's going to go ahead and attack and hits the Art of War. Attacking air here. It's an
do
interesting
you
move
let
to
this
choose.
go as lion if this was you? With an air ring contested
Uh,
here?
yeah, I probably would. The downside is that the Scout is probably threatening to break already, and you're not going to get the benefit from it since it's attacking alone.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I don't think you're totally opposed to going ahead and trading provinces, so to speak here. Oh,
Oh,
Voice of
wow.
Honor comes down again. So that's 2 already. Matrim on 3, and so we see the Bonsai here for Matrim.
Up 4 skill. Having those 2 voices has really been pretty high impact so far. Goblin Guide has the counter bonsai.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be enough to put him over, but it will prevent the break here.
Yeah, I think your comment was a good one. I think he's defending to prevent the break because of the cautious scout and not actually playing to win. Because it is just an air ring with both players above 10 honor.
Yeah, interesting the Matrim decides to go ahead and gain 2 honor there. It's a pretty low impact ring regardless of what he chose, but and we're gonna see the favor go to Matrim.
That's good for Matrim in that the Lion deck, which is actually not running Ujiaki. So this is super interesting. The Crane deck is not running Yoshi, and the Lion deck is not running Ujiaki. So this is a game where the favor is literally just +1 skill. It's like the good old days. And the 1x
Yeah,
censure, which does
we're
matter.
playing a little retro match here, I guess.
Yeah, when you've used 2 of your Voices of Honor on round 1, though, having that 1 censure and the favor does matter. Oh my god, this is going to be an onslaught this round. Look at these flips.
Yeah, and so GoblinGuide actually has a bunch of cheap dudes, but he opts to go for the Honor General instead. Maybe a little tired of these Voices of Honor coming down, and maybe he has some for himself too that he wants to activate. And Matron goes with the Doji rep here. Okay. Guest to Honor was available. Oh, okay. GoblinGuide goes and buys the Wakabe card too.
With Crane having to rebuild their board from scratch, I think he thinks he's going to get the Fate anyway, but doesn't. With first attack, though, you can take the Fire Ring, which is very strong, or deny the Void Ring, which would be okay too, um, and get your Fate for whatever 1 Fate conflict card you need.
Yeah, Matron's sitting on 3 Fate right now. He does have the 2 Furies, and he does also have the 3 Steward Laws that he could possibly drop. Also, Political Rival as well.
Yeah, it seems like making a poke is the safest thing here.
Yeah, I'd say we probably own. Okay. He's going to go in hard with the General and the Kabe guard. So on the province rows, it looks like Matron's on pretty much all the standard stuff. The 2 resource air provinces, and transposition, meditations, and shameful. It's fertile fields here.
Fate in a card is no feast or famine, but it is good.
Yeah, but he chooses not to defend here. Let's see if there's a Fury that's going to come down. Nope. Okay, he just doesn't defend it. Lets it break. Uh, GoblinGuide is running Keeper Initiates, but he has not seen any yet. So Arian's just going to go ahead and dishonor this Doji rep.
The upside of having an air province get hit is that after making a attack, potentially with the Void Ring, he'll have enough Fate to drop down a beefy conflict character for the next attack if he has it, but may not have it yet.
All right, so it looks like Matron's going to go ahead and declare an attack here. I guess he's not particularly concerned about GoblinGuide's board here. Doesn't really represent a huge political threat. And he hits Manicure Garden. GoblinGuide's going to get an extra Fate from this. Now I'm curious to see if Matron decides to go ahead and pull the Doji rep back. But I think just getting the Void off is not the worst thing in the world. I'm assuming he's probably going to have some kind of conflict character.
Okay, this makes sense. Having a court games to pull that rep back up to normal. Now it's starting to look like a real conflict.
Yeah, and Matrim is on 3 fans, so we could see a conflict character come down, or we can see a fan maybe for the break.
Yeah, the
Yep,
Lion Crane deck will struggle to deal with attachments, so.
yep, and there is the break. So this Tactician's going to get voided, and now we're going to see if GoblinGuide has anything to answer with, I guess. And well, the benefit of getting voided is that now you can safely attack into meditations. Although possibly he might want to scout around and try to see if he can hit a manicure to deny that seeker fate. Although he'd still get a fate anyway.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna try to keep the just steal the favor here, because he needs another character with one skill to plow through the box.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay. He's gonna go in.
So he'll probably put a fan on the Kabe guard after the tactician gets bowed.
It is possible. Yep. There's the tactician bow. Uh, Goblin Guide is on 2 Ageless Crones, as well as 3 Steward of Law.
Court games works too, but it will waste the pride and
There's
convinces
Political
Matrim
Rival.
to drop down the rival. Yeah. Are we gonna see a policy debate here?
That would be pretty big. Matrim is on 3 of them. It'd be a 6-2.
It's another reason to just stand and try to get favor, because this attack's gonna lose him the favor if he doesn't win.
Yeah. The good news for Goblin Guide is that Matrim actually ended up spending all his fate to put this Political Rival down. The bad news is that he's gonna have a bigger board come next turn.
Yeah, the bad news is that having 5 fate, one of the best things you can do with it is drop a political rival with 2 fate on it.
Um, looks we got a
Oh my god. That was
Goblin Guide dropping down double Voice of Honor. I guess that's why he decided to go ahead and buy that Honor General. He's sitting on this. Cancel the censure, cancel the policy debate.
Well, if we think about that, trading 2 cards for 2 cards, right? Denying the hand knowledge also pretty big. Goblin Guide's out of cancels though, right? And Matrim only has one Voice
Goblin
of
Guide
Honor.
is in fact out of cancels, and Matrim only has the one. Correct. And no second conflict here from Matrim. He had no fate to drop down another conflict character, so he'll retain the favor. But Matrim actually in a pretty good position right now. He is up on breaks. He's first player, and he's got some spice on his side with that challenger coming out.
I think the challenger was showing, right?
Oh yeah, he was. The challenger was showing, but he can go ahead and buy her now. Now that he's first player.
Challenger and favorable ground and doji rep is a really nasty combination.
Meanwhile, on Goblin God side, we do see the LPB come down, but it's going to be second player. So if he buys her, she's probably just going to get dragged into the conflict. But I think more interestingly, he's got an AG and he's got a Death Seeker.
The AG is very interesting, especially going in with 9 fate.
The only problem is that he doesn't really have any good AG targets in his discard right now. He does have the Tactician and the Gunso both, which are okay. Alright, so Matron buys the Savvy Politician.
I think that kind of limits Reinterm's options, but with how ahead he is right now tempo-wise, he could play Challenger with 1 fate, or just pass if he has the 3rd rival, but I like playing the Challenger here with the favorable ground, especially with the LPB across the table.
Yeah, we're going to see Death Seeker come down for Goblin Guide. There's the Challenger.
Well, I guess you're
So
fine if GoblinGuide passes here, right? There's like no chance, so might as well put 2 fate on it and get the 1 fate back. That's probably all you need.
yeah, the only way I could see Goblin Guy possibly passing is if his hand is stocked with all those conflict characters.
Yeah,
Um,
that is a good point. That would make it not entirely unreasonable. We know he's was very keen preventing the policy debate.
oh, okay, he's going with AG.
Well, the first attack, Challenger Rep, um, with the favorable ground, political, like the brawler is so unlikely to do anything into this texture.
All right, we see the way the crane come down the savvy politician, so that's going to get the Doji Challenger honored as well. Fate is available on both the Earth and the Air rings.
I mean, if you want the fate, the Earth Ring's better here.
Yeah, I think Void is also probably a decent choice here.
I think Void's the best denial play, right? Because you've got 2 1 fate characters, and your opponent's not running meditations, so you don't have to worry about that.
All right, he's going to go ahead and scout the last province, which I believe is going to be. Oh no, it's Pilgrimage. Uh, Goblin Guide not on Shameful.
Is Challenger alone really enough to get a ring effect here? Maybe he doesn't even care about the ring effect if he's just going military Earth.
Yeah, man, I think so. I think if I'm Goblin Guide here, I am highly tempted to go ahead and defend. I don't want to be on Stronghold while I'm down. Uh, yeah, I only have one province broken at this point, so I would probably want to defend this as best as I could.
If you
Try
can
to
charge
swing.
the Brawler, what do you think about that? Then you could potentially ready it with the Water Ring after the Challenger's already had its conflict.
I think that'd be decent, but it is putting a lot of faith in you winning your next conflict, though.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
think also with the favorable ground showing, you charge in the brawler, and then the challenger just pulls out. So yeah, he's gonna go ahead and defend with the honor general here. I think if I'm Matrim, I go ahead and pull in AG here.
Yeah, 100%. Lion doesn't have any way to honor him in a military conflict, right?
Not that I'm aware of. All right, so we see AG come into the conflict. It does mean that he is now losing because of honor general's effect, giving him +1. But we're just gonna see the challenger go home, and I think Matrim's okay with that trade, bowing 2 characters essentially for the cost of a ring. So now Goblin Guy is going to have an opportunity for a counterattack. He's going to go at Meditations for the Water Ring to restand one of these dudes.
I have to imagine we're in one of those situations where it's, I will break this or you will lose a fate on a critical character. So, Death Seeker is good for setting up those scenarios.
Sorry about that. I had to respond to a message real quick.
Oh, not a problem, Dan. So we are seeing the defense with the savvy politicians, so it's 2 to 3. If GoblinGuide wants to do anything with this, which he probably does to stand AG, could use the box to try to force out a card. Could also just pass and get the Death Seeker effect.
Yeah, I think I guess if you are Goblin Guide, would you want to Death Seeker the political rival or the Doji rep?
I think Rival wins games when you're on box.
That is true. He does have the covert effect on there. But Goblin Guide is looking to go ahead and try to win this conflict. He goes and bows the stronghold. No reason not to. He's not going to have another opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I think that it's a reasonable thing to do. You're not going to win with AG on defense, but you could make another attack. Although there's no safe attack with AG to make, so... I mean, I think it sets up a reasonably strong set of options for the rest of this round if he just uses the stronghold, yeah.
And we see a pass here from Matrim, so maybe if Goblin Guide has a bonsai, he might be able to actually break this meditations. Goblin Guide, 12 cards in hand. Only used one bonsai so far.
Yeah, so there's like a ton of 2-card combos that get the break. Bonsai is the only 1 card that would do it, I think.
Yeah, Legion of One. He's already used one of them, but he doesn't have the extra fate to kick it.
Yeah, so he's got 2 Fine Katanas and Legion of One and Way of the Lion are all the cards that could be used as part of a 2-card combo to get a break, and then the Bonsai is the 1 card that would do it.
Yeah, we're seeing Goblin Guide take his time here. I think that probably means he might have the 2-card combo in hand, and he's just trying to figure out whether or not it's worth it to go ahead and attempt
Yeah, I
it.
think he's just thinking about what we're thinking about, which is just like how much do I want to set up like a positive situation versus trying to force him to make me lose. Yep, standing AG was determined to be the right thing to do. I think he's got a decent shot at doing something with his second conflict, perhaps. Um, as you said, no excellent targets in the discard pile. So that's a little unfortunate, but AG can actually pull from your provinces too, so that's pretty relevant. I've definitely lost a game before when I forgot that AG can pull from your provinces.
Oh yeah, that is true.
That's what you're
Uh,
here for, Dan, reminding
I
me of
know.
these
I'm,
important things.
I'm
I
sorry.
can't
I'm
believe
sorry.
we made it through both players' first conflict without remembering that you can AG in Brawler.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of thing is that AG doesn't really see much play nowadays. I think a lot of times his effect is kind of not useful. But
Well, yeah,
and
when
so
you're
I don't play AG myself.
losing, right?
I yeah.
So even if you get value from it, it can be pretty rough.
Now the question is, since everybody's going to go in here, and the political rival is actually just going to cover past AG. Um. Oh no.
No, they don't
Oh,
covert
cover up.
past AGs, leaving the opportunity for Goblin Guide to make what would almost certainly be a mistake and defend. Um, the question is, does the rep come home?
And here's the tricky part: is I think this is pretty much a guaranteed break for Matrim. So
If Steward of Law comes down, Goblin Guide only has one fate, so if it gets assassinationed, there will be no for shame play. Although I think a Steward of Law not answered by an assassination could definitely prevent the break here, especially if Matrim gets cheeky and pulls the rep too early.
Yeah, so I mean, I think in this situation you just go ahead and defend anyway, right? Because the challenger will just pull AG in no matter what.
Challenger was used already.
Oh, you're right. Right.
Yeah, so now we see if there's an assassination here. I think that this is actually reasonably holdable for Matrim uh, if it doesn't.
Okay, for shame
Yeah,
on
see, he
political
already
level.
gave up. Matrim already gave up on this conflict, pulling the rep home.
Oh no, he didn't. He put a fan on the challenger.
Yeah, that's some really strange sequencing that I don't quite understand.
And we see another for shame come down the challenger. I think Goblin Guide is on 3, so you could potentially have the.
Yeah, Goblin Guide needs to answer with a fan, and it needs to go unanswered by let go. Oh,
He had the third for shame.
sometimes that happens, right? He wasn't playing cards from hands before he got courtiers in play, though, so I guess that makes it more likely, right?
Yeah. Um. Unfortunately, this also means that AG doesn't trigger, so we're not going to see the brawler come out, which would have been nice because he would have been able to buy
You
out
mean it's a
the
shame
doji
that he'll
rep.
have it to buy on his first player turn next turn?
Well, just saying like he uh could have had a pretty good counter attack here.
You know, I think this is the type of situation that the Lion Crane deck really excels at. So maybe we're seeing the start of a comeback, although there's still a lot of players sticking or characters sticking around on Matrim's side.
Okay, no conflict there from Goblin Guide. He's going to get favor.
I think that's 100% fine, right? Because you have to attack into meditations or risk attacking into shameful. Just getting favor is almost certainly fine. Because when you play the LPB, you're probably going to get to bow a 3-7 with it. That's got to feel good.
It feels great. Speaking from experience.
Not to mention that Goblin Guide's still not on the stronghold, so he can play a little looser. And flipping Taturi having used no charges yet is good. The Venerable Historian is fairly dead, but flipping the second keeper also fantastic.
Yeah, so there's the brawler coming out. That's going to be it for Goblin Guide's buys here. See a Brash Samurai. It looks like Matron's probably just going to go ahead and buy out his cheap stuff.
Yeah, Brash isn't that good right here because it can be hard to actually get its ability off. This isn't really the poking and prodding part of the game. This is the smashing part. I think I like Whisperer or Narishma as better for spies.
All right, so 5 bids both ways. Goblin's Goblin Guy's going to have first choice of attack. He's probably going to go for the fire ring here to get these keepers in play.
Yeah, I mean, given what he's played, what he's not played, probably has a pretty decent suite of buffs, including charge, with no risk of it being cancelled. So a double fire ring onto this board and the LPB effect seems in order. Does have to dodge the shameful though.
Yeah, I think at this point you just go ahead and risk it.
Yeah, I agree.
Alright, so Goblin Guide is actually no, he's actually gonna go for meditations here with just the brawler.
I think just the brawler is fine. I suppose the risk is if you do hit Shameful that you could turn on your opponent's third copy of Voice of Honor, which makes the charge harder. Although, not really.
No, well he still has the honor general out and honored, so it wouldn't automatically be on.
Yep, that's very true.
We haven't seen any Furies yet, actually, from Matrim. He does have two of them.
Yeah, that's the downside of running 2 versus 3. Sometimes you just don't see them as regularly in the early stage of the game.
Yeah, there's only 15 cards left in his conflict deck, though, so
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he
I
didn't
would
have
hope it.
one.
Alright, so here's the Brash Samurai coming in. Actually gets the effect off. If I'm Goblin God, I think I go ahead and bow the challenger here, and there's the charge on Taturi too.
Yeah, I think you should, at this point, you should bow the challenger before you charge Tuturi. There's some, I mean, you're very, very likely to get it off anyway, but I don't,
Yeah, I don't think it really matters too much for sequencing purposes. There's nothing that can bring the challenger in, and there's nothing to, I guess, cancel her effect with like Cloud the Mind or something like that.
we'd be remiss also in talking about Miyamoto's Fury if we didn't talk about the potential of the other copies of Ready for Battle that Lion has access to.
Uh, sure. Fury is actually active on Taturi right now as well,
Yeah, so he does have to hope he's got the Ready for Battle. Or that Matrim just doesn't have the Fury.
and it looks like the latter is the case. So meditation is gonna break.
For,
Oh, he gets a 4 glory too. That's why he was okay with going for meditation.
yeah, that's pretty great. He also gets the 2 keepers. I guess that he didn't have his 1x Noble Sacrifice. He could have set it up with one of the keepers using the reaction from Tuturi.
Yeah, that would have been pretty hype there. But now Goblin Guide is in a pretty dominating board state right now.
Yeah,
It's
a
100
lot of
each.
the time that this is what playing against Lion can feel like, right? You're doing fine, even well, until they find the opening. But extra political rival could do quite a lot of work here. Double covert is always strong. But if Goblin Guide loses a political, he can pop the Deathseeker back, right?
Yeah, the Death Seeker can come back, or you can go ahead and get a the Gunso or get the Tactician. I think any of them would be fine. Maybe the Gunso just for extra glory, but I think they're all about the same in this situation.
Do you think Matrim's best line is to try to get the Void Ring off to take that Fate back off of Tuturi?
Yeah, I think this I'd probably go ahead and go for the Void here. Get the extra Fade as well. Alright, so there's the 2 rivals. I think it's fair to go ahead and send the representative in as well.
I think you should.
Hope he unselects everything. So some hesitation here from Matrim. I guess he's thinking maybe he doesn't want to leave himself open for a political attack necessarily. Goblin Guide actually is representing a pretty big political threat. He's got 6, 9, 12 political strength plus the favor. Actually, 13 with the other keeper.
Yeah, 4 from the keepers, 6 from AG, 3 from the general, 1 for the favor. You're not going first. I suppose the best way to try to defend yourself against Goblin Guide's political attack is, I guess, going for the water ring instead of the void ring. But I think that's pretty
Yeah, we're gonna see him
risky.
go for the.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going for the void here instead. I think it's a safer call. One thing Goblin Guy does need to be careful of is Matrim does still have his military conflict left, and so he's got Narishma, who can, if he commits too much, then Narishma can break alone with a bonsai, 2 fans or 2 katanas rather.
Yeah, Narishma is no joke, really. Um, yeah, I think the risk of giving your opponent no reasonable block to take is that your opponent will just not block in a situation like this.
Yeah, and I think if I'm Goblin God, I just go ahead and concede the break here. I don't think there's any possible way for him to defend this. Oh, well, actually, let's see. If he puts the honored keeper in, I was going to put both keepers in.
Well, if he
So
doesn't
now,
have the defense, that's the worst block he could make. So let's see what his plan for the defense is.
well, think about it like this. If he, well, actually, I think he should go and leave the other keeper home. But um, so okay, then he puts the fan on, so that keeper can't get bad. Now, actually, Matrim can't pull the representative out if he wants to win the conflict.
Yeah, he's actually one off, right?
Yeah, and he's not even breaking right now too.
Yeah, but
Oh,
this
that's
this
right.
play was vulnerable to assassination, which I thought might have been why he defended with 2 instead of 1 anyway. But unopposed is kind of irrelevant right now.
Matrim also on 2 times a mid defeat as well, and we haven't seen either of those. So now we might see this keeper get bowed. I haven't seen any let goes either, so maybe let go on the fan and bow the keeper. Oh, not totally necessary right now.
I mean, if you leave the rep in, you can get away with a lot.
All right, there's the mid defeat.
Do we see ready for battle?
I almost wonder if it's.
I think you're much more likely to get the break on the backswing um, if you keep the rep in the fight. That's my only thought.
All right, so I think there's no ready for battle. The window has passed. So Goblin Guy's just gonna pass. The rep's gonna go home. Could see a conflict character here to drop in and prevent the break.
Yeah, that would be quite good.
Although I think every
Yep,
conflict character is
crone.
going to get
That's the ideal
yeah.
one, really.
Well, no, I mean it's just going to get bowed by the stronghold.
Yeah, but I guess that's true. So he couldn't have really prevented anything with the conflict character on 2 Fate, right? Unless he's got another one.
Uh, no, I don't believe so. And now, yeah, he does spend a fate to use ready for battle.
So that's just wrong, right? Like not using it on the keeper?
I feel like yeah, I feel like that was probably incorrect. He should have just went ahead and used it on the keeper. I guess he was waiting for the doji rep to leave, but okay, maybe he was searching for a favorable ground there from with Narushima.
But Goblin Guide had a moment to drop the crone before the admit defeat was played. So um, I think there are just several better ways that this could have played out for Goblin Guide.
Yeah, I
Although
guess he actually could have.
it did get the job done. It's just he left some fade on the table, I think.
Yeah, both of them at 0 fate now, so and we're gonna see the AG bring out the Death Seeker. No break though, so Goblin God survives, and now he can swing back for his own political attack with only the representative active for Matrim.
Yeah, the Death Seeker is actually a big deal because if Court Games comes out, he can dishonor the Death Seeker. Although if Matrim defended, he would probably just Court Games his own character. Flipping Manicured Garden, so that's a fortuitous flip for Goblin Guide, but it also does re-up the fate for the Crane player.
Yeah, and Goblin God's swinging with everything here, which means if Narishma gets left home, he's gonna have nothing to defend a military attack. But he's just hoping he gets the break here. He's okay with, uh, I guess maybe trading break for break.
I mean,
No,
deny,
he's going for. Oh, sorry, he's going for the water rings here. So yeah, if he gets that, he can go ahead and stand somebody up for a military defense,
which will be our boy Taturi, no doubt.
most likely.
Let's see if there's any gasoline left in Matrim's hand. There's 9 somethings. AG cannot be bowed to Fury. The other 2 characters can.
Yeah, still pretty surprised that we haven't seen any Fury yet, but such is the life of playing card games. Some days you have it, some days you don't. All right, so court game comes down on the doji rep, bringing up to 7.
Will we see a counter Court Games? No. Oh wait, it's 4 still. So yeah, still passing.
Oh, we're gonna see a Stewart law come in. Okay.
At least, which player played all 3 for Shames? Certainly it
That was
was,
kind of
yeah, Goblin Guy, so there could be more for Shames coming.
okay. Not sure I understand why the Stewart law came in. I believe. Oh no, okay, this is the perfect break. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, was Spies at court?
that was goofy, um, but quite strong. By honoring Rep and dishonoring General, he turned his Voice of Honor in time just to cancel Spies at Court. I believe, in fact, paying the cost of Spies of Court is what cost him the honor lead. Um,
Yeah, I believe it did.
I've had that
Which
happen
is
to me
yeah,
before as Crane. If you, for example, are holding on to Voice of Honor control by having an honored Chud and you try to noble sack him, that's when you open yourself up to some nasty cancels. Um, and that's what we see here. Although I think Spies at Court is fairly low impact.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it's kind of weird though because you did have the Death Seeker that you could have gone ahead and dishonored. So I don't know why you chose to dishonor the Honor General.
it's one of those situations where you think it doesn't matter, but it does, I think, personally. It's actually very relevant that neither player has gotten to the other stronghold yet. Matrim perhaps getting a little frustrated attacking an Art of War, although you really don't have any hope of even getting a ring effect against Pilgrimage, so it is correct.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he just wants. Well, uh, yeah, I mean, Tatsuri's just gonna defend here, right? Yeah, he's no fate left over. Can't use any kind of admit defeat tricks.
yeah, I think it would be just admit defeat, but the admit defeat would probably be good enough.
Okay, so Banzai is coming down.
I mean, we've only seen what one Legion, no Way of the Lion, no Katana, so it
Yeah.
puts the Katana
Well,
down.
there's one katana actually.
Yeah, so this happens a lot. Katana is getting the first of 3 let goes. Is there second let go on second Katana?
Yeah, I'm actually just now realizing as well that Goblin Guide is not on any way of the lines.
Yeah, I think I prefer Way of the Lion to Legion of One. But I could see the argument for the other way around. The one thing I definitely don't like seeing is when players add Legion of One before adding 3 Bonsai. But maybe I just don't understand something.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Well, Legion of One actually is sort of it synergizes well with the keepers. I think that's the best sort of usage of it. You don't mind if your keepers die, and they're always going to come in with one fate on them, so you get a free
That is a
set.
reasonable point.
Alright, so everything's cleaned up. We see a Spirit Caller here now for Goblin Guide, and Hotaru is going to come down for Matrim.
That Hotaru definitely pretty all-in investment. It's the only character on board with Fate, and it only has 1 Fate on it. There's very little Fate on rings because this has been a very aggressive game. And Matrim is down to 3 cards, although Goblin Guide only has 4. So I guess your other options are also expensive, um, but this turn really does have to go well for Goblin Guide or for Matrim. Goblin Guide getting the Spirit Caller at this point is quite good.
Yeah, Matrim's board's just going to vanish after this turn, so he's got to make it happen.
Goblin Guide's only going to lose his key pieces if he doesn't have another for Greater Glory, so can't count on that.
All right, still 5 drawing. Both players on even honor, even hand size, roughly.
This is a good turn to be first player for Matrim, though. Definitely. A double water ring would be very strong.
Yeah, I think if you're Matrim, you go ahead and smash political here at either. I think either province is fine. Maybe you just go ahead and go for Art of War and see the card draw just for the ease of breaking. But I think he has enough political on board where it shouldn't matter too much. So yeah, coverting past the AG. I think the right call is definitely to go for water here. I think.
Matrim does indeed go for water. 17 skill.
Yeah, going at the pilgrimage.
Let's count fans. It's just the one fan we've seen so far. We've seen all three for Shame's court games. Doesn't do anything to Matrim's side. Um, so yeah, I think you can go pilgrimage here. You don't have to give the cards to your opponent, really.
And I would also suspect that the brawler is going to get pulled in by the challenger here.
Yeah, so it's really sort of effectively a triple bow, which is pretty insane. AG will trigger, um, but it doesn't leave a whole lot standing on GoblinGuide side.
Yeah, and there's no real good spirit color targets. Nothing that can really save him from this conflict. So he's doing math though. I guess he's trying to figure out if he's going to have enough for a counter attack here.
So he's showing 10 with the favor with his potential blockers that can't get bowed. Which is actually within striking range of preventing the ring effect if Matrim has nothing.
Yeah, with 8 cards in hand, he's got to have at least. I figure he probably has at least something. Haven't seen any. Actually, yeah, just 2 court games for Matrim so far. So he still has one more. Um, all the fans are showing from Matrim. No defense here from GoblinGuide. All right, so the challenger moves LPB into the conflict.
One
And I think
thing
if you're
that would mess
GoblinGuide,
up the math here is if the third ready for battle has been drawn.
that is possible. Although you think that I guess you would probably think that if GoblinGuide had it, he might be a little more ready to just go ahead and not defend it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so just passing here from GoblinGuide. I think for Matron, you just go ahead and take this break now. Uh, you for shamed her? Seems a little unnecessary.
You don't even need to box her or for shame her. You just you literally just need to pass. He's probably trying to get cheeky with Noble Sack, but that target's not going to be offered to you.
Yeah. All right, so the AG will trigger here, and I guess the best thing available is the Tactician. So we're going to
All
see
right.
one resolution.
It felt like maybe no, we're past where we could be ready for battle, I think, Tuturi.
Yeah. So he might be saving it for AG, but I don't think he has it. Yeah, he does not have it. So Narishma flips a Kaizen. So left standing for Matrim now is Narishma and this Brash Samurai, which is pretty staunch military defense if Goblin Guy's going to try to go in afterwards. He does have one keeper in the graveyard, so he can possibly pull out that keeper.
This is a
Eh,
pretty tricky attack, right? Because with the box you're at 3, so you have to defend with the Brash Samurai. Then you have all of your lion things to try to make it even a stronger attack. So this has to be respected by Matrim. Let's see if Matrim does so.
it looks like he's selecting Narishma for the time being. Yep, he picks Narishma. Gains a fee from that manicure garden. Yeah, I just feel like there's so much that Goblin Guy can possibly do here. But 10 cards left, still no Furies. This Tactician could get bowed, although Spirit Caller can just bring in an Honor General
Yeah,
if
this
need
this
be.
attack can get big for sure. This attack can go lion. Fire represents one keeper, right? Because the other one's
That'll
still
be
in
one
play.
keeper right now.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh, he goes for the Honor General right now, which is a little risky because if he does have that Fury, he can just go ahead and bow the Honor General.
Yeah, it might just reveal how far ahead GoblinGuide was thinking, though. We know GoblinGuide's a very
Yeah,
skilled player.
there's the Fury, and looks like no ready for battle after.
He can go to 8, charging the Tactician.
Yeah, two bonsais shown.
Yeah, so it looks
And
like
Legion one is off as
we're
well,
seeing the
so
charge box play, so he's gonna go to 8, which is enough to force an answer from Matrim.
we'll see if Matrim has the second Fury available. Goblin Guide is running a little bit low on military buffs now, though. Just one Legion of one Bonsai, and I think one charge left.
Yeah, I didn't mean to forget it that the list wasn't running Way of the Lion earlier. That definitely does change the math as far as how many buffs you expect your opponent to be carrying at any given
Yeah,
time.
and that's oh, actually, no, hold on. Okay, never mind. But yeah, that's a so usually when I'm building my lion deck, so a lot of times, one of the things that people tell me is oh, you might want to cut a bonsai, or you might want to cut one of the way lions because you have enough military buffs already. But when I'm playing lion, I like to make sure, the one thing that we're good at is winning military, and I want to make sure that every military conflict I enter, I am going to win it. And so cutting these military buffs um, oftentimes ends up hurting you because you lose the one thing that you're good at.
Alright, I apologize to my stream. I think I just had a loud desktop notification for a few seconds there. But yeah, that assassination is pretty high impact, I think. Um, but still winning. Fire Ring is big here. Because Fire Ring can dishonor Hotaru, and if he has the Noble Sack, it's messy.
Yeah, that one noble stack's still alive. Only 11 cards left in Goblin God's conflict deck. I think Goblin God right now considering whether or not he wants to spend another military buff. With precious few remaining, it is a decision to make. But if you can possibly force your way into breaking this province, I think you go ahead and do it. I think Matron's pretty low on military buffs himself right now. I think only one bonsai
Yeah,
left.
low on buffs, low on cards, relevant cards. So you are definitely right about all of that.
Will she have a crown come in? All right,
Find
and there's a
Katana.
katana coming down. There's the box. We see a fate spent. Bonsai on Narishma, so that's the last bonsai for Matrim. Goblin God's gonna have to pay a fate if he's gonna bonsai himself.
This is a fairly big hold um, for Matrim if he gets it.
Yeah, I think this is another situation where I would have liked to see the Crone a little bit earlier in the conflict. I think it could have prevented a lot of stuff from going south here.
Yeah, forcing more fate from the yeah, from all the cards that have been played so far, the Fury, the Assassination, and the Bonsai. Well, the Bonsai
Yeah,
was taxed, but Matrim wouldn't have been able to play that conflict that way. Just slam that puppy down right after the charge, right?
yeah. I think once you get your charge off, I mean, you don't even need to get your charge off. You just need to make it into a 2 fate Fury. Um, and that's actually pretty huge for Matrim here, because not only does he didn't you know prevent his province from breaking, but he denies that fire ring. So this Brash Samurai,
I'm concerned though because let's think about this a little bit. That was a fire ring. Um, the Brass Samurai was used last turn, but not this turn. So if it got dishonored, you don't particularly care. If you still have that bonsai from the previous conflict, don't you just win there?
uh, well, no, because he would have gotten a let's see. Well, he would have lost the conflict. He would have had to go against 2 keepers, and one of them probably would have been honored
I'm
there.
forgetting about the second keeper. That's the
Yeah.
issue. You're absolutely right. Alright, so this attack on Shameful would be very strong, but you'll get the ring effect, but not the break.
Oh no.
Oh, court games, excellent.
Court games. Yeah, and Matron only on 2 cards now. Okay. So that attack with Brash Samurai just to claim the fate, maybe a little errant, and yeah, he breaks Shameful.
Ooh, and he gets the cards.
He has Matron has no cards left. It was Noble Sack and 4 Shame. Okay,
For
it's an
Shame's
interesting
very high
turn here.
impact.
And Void on Hotaru. And actually, Matron now has his back against the wall. It's only going to have Hotaru to defend
Gonna
against
be
this
defending
LPB.
against LPB and Hotar or and Taturi and
LPB is
AG if well AG left, but yeah.
everybody left. It's just the Spirit Caller. So
I don't know. This looks pretty good for GoblinGuide.
this is okay flop, I guess. So I think if for GoblinGuide here, you just go ahead and buy out your board. You're going first. Well, maybe not by the historian, but I mean you can probably buy AG too. With the Kabe Guard, Steadfast Samurai, you can bring back either Taturi or a general. Let's see. Matrim, I believe, is on Entrenched, yeah. It's sort of the funny thing about Entrenched against Lion is that usually that extra strength doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I have noticed that you actually it's counterintuitive, but you want the rally against the line most cases because they'll get to you in this stronghold versus stronghold situation. And stronghold versus stronghold, you can reclaim the extra tempo you need to actually be the winner with rally. Whereas Lion will often say, you know, 5 more strength, whatever. 5 strength is my box. in a stronghold swing.
Yeah. So Kaizen comes down here. Kaizen, actually, kind of interesting. Um, you know, the assumption is that Goblin Guy's gonna swing with everybody, and he can just pick the LPB to duel. But if Matrim has any kind of, I think he still has katanas left, so he can buff up Kaizen, or he can honor Kaizen. Have all the way the cranes been used? Only two. And Matrim does have the favor as well.
It has to be a pre-conflict. To use Kaizen as a duelist, it has to be a pre-conflict sword or Way of the Crane. Otherwise, the Spirit Caller denies that play pretty hard. I don't think Goblin Guide has the numbers, though, to smash through Entrenched this
Oh,
round.
actually, he is on one one Master of the Spear,
That
but
does
he
change
didn't
a
play
lot.
it. So
That changes a lot, though, numbers-wise.
okay, there's the katana coming down. Yeah, you figured that if he had the if he had the or he just goes ahead and plays it. No reason not to at this point. Goblin Guide also on one strength in numbers. And I believe we've only seen the one Steward Law, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We've seen one Steward and one Rival out of Guide.
Okay. And here is the fire conflict. Now Matrim only has Kaizen selected now. So maybe he's thinking that he has the juice to defend this, and then he can swing back with Hotaru and the Savvy Politician afterwards. Although that's not enough to break, unless he has the second way of the crane, or the last way of the crane rather. Even court games. Oh no, court games would be enough as well. But I think he's used all of them. No, he still has one left.
There's a lot of interesting plays here for Goblin Guide.
Yeah, so it looks like we're gonna get a first action duel. And with the duel, uh,
Okay, so yeah, Matrim bids 5. I think he only needed to bid 4, but that's
yeah,
fine.
I think it didn't really matter. But Goblin Guy went ahead and bid one. Go ahead and take the honor. Not that it's going to matter too much at this stage of the game. So LPB is still in here. LPB can go ahead and bow Hotaru to save himself from defense. Spirit Caller can now bring in.
I want to see that Master
Uh,
of the Spear, because that would be brutal.
oh,
Uh,
okay. He's Legion one right now.
yeah, I was thinking this is a very cheeky window to play Legion of One. But if you do have the Legion of One, um, and you don't need to bow Kaizen, That
There's the
signifies
master
that
of the
you have the
spear.
win. I think he's showing the win right now.
Yeah, this should be the win. You send Kaizen home, uh, call in the honor general, and that should be it. I don't think Matrim can do anything to stop this.
Yeah, he's not running a charge, which would be a way to get 3 skill, but yeah, GG's been called.
Yep. And so Goblin Guy probably also, if Goblin Guy had a strength in numbers, I think that also would have won him the game right there too. So
Yeah, absolutely. The strength in numbers sends Kaizen home now that there are 2 characters in. Um, and yeah, easily getting the skill he needs to break through the entrenched.
all right, well, good stuff from Goblin Guide. I think that this game was definitely back and forth for the better duration of it. But he manages to hang on at the very end. That I think that last break with that keeper initiate running into shameful display and breaking it by himself was huge.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
extremely well played by GoblinGuide. Maybe a bit of a gaffe from Matrim, letting something like that happen if there was anything he could have done to stop it.
yeah, he just sort of made that errant attack on the stronghold, and that cost him a province.
Yeah, absolutely. Very neck and neck, back and forth game. Well played by both players, most of it. Congratulations to GoblinGuide and condolences to Matrim. It's always sad to see another uh, Crane regular lose.
Uh,
And
I think you and I will differ on that opinion, but good stuff for the
fair
Lions.
enough.
I'm
I mean,
glad that we're pulling out some wins here.
yeah, Lion do struggle. I think it's a common opinion that in the overall meta that they're the 6th best out of 6 real clans. And we didn't see that here this time, but yeah, generally speaking, they haven't had the best tournament results. So if we take a quick look at the bracket, so Goblin Guide is moving on to round of 32. Um, and next opponent will be either Madavaster, a Scorpion, or Demabia Crab. What do you think Goblin Guide will be looking for in that next match? Who do you think they'd prefer, and what should they keep an eye out for?
Actually, I generally think that Scorpion is probably a better match than Crab, especially when you're running Crane Splash, since you have the Voice of Honor to turn off stuff like Fate Worse than Death. Um, so I know it sounds crazy, but I think that Goblin Guy would actually probably prefer the Scorpion matchup in this situation.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. With that Crane tech, they probably are preparing to face off against Scorpions. So I think the Crab matchup is just quite a bit unpredictable. Do you agree with that characterization?
Yeah, it can be a little tough sometimes because they're one of the only clans that can really match Lion on the military front. And so sometimes, especially in a deck like Goblin Guides, which is a little bit skimpier on the military buffs, it can be tough to get past their defenses in a meaningful way. Casada is also uh, really problematic for us.
Sure, I can see how that would be the case. I think that'll wrap up this cast. Thanks, Dan, for co-casting with me. I had a good time, and I'll
Yeah,
see all
pleasure.
of you guys next time for more LCQ and Season 5 Cup coverage.